My son Tyler's high school graduation was on June 3rd at 2 p.m. He had worked incredibly hard, minus 4.0 GPA, valedictorian, full scholarship to MIT. It was the culmination of 18 years of effort, late nights, studying, and determination. I had sent the invitation to my family 6 weeks in advance. I called them to confirm, texted reminders, made sure everyone knew how important this was. My mother RSVP'd yes. So did my father, my sister Amanda, my brother Kevin, and my aunt Linda. The whole family was committed to celebrating Tyler's achievement. The ceremony started at 2 p.m. By 1:55, I was sitting alone in a sea of families. Every other graduate had clusters of relatives, parents, grandparents, siblings, aunts, and uncles. Tyler kept looking over at me, his smile faltering each time he saw the empty seats. My phone buzzed at 2:03 p.m. Mom, something came up. Can't make it. Tell Tyler congrats. That was it. No explanation. No apology. Just something came up. I waited until 2:15, hoping someone would show. No one did. Tyler walked across that stage, shook hands with the principal, received his diploma and his valedictorian medal, all while his entire extended family was somewhere else doing something they deemed more important. After the ceremony, as other families took group photos and celebrated, Tyler and I stood alone. "Where is everyone?" he asked quietly. "Something came up with Grandma. They couldn't make it." His face fell. "All of them? Grandpa too? And Aunt Linda? And Uncle Kevin?" "Yeah, buddy, all of them. But I'm valedictorian. I got a full ride to MIT. Don't they care?" My heart broke watching my son, this brilliant, accomplished young man, realize that his achievements weren't worth 2 hours of his family's time. "I care," I said, hugging him. "And I'm so incredibly proud of you. MIT is lucky to have you." "Thanks, Mom," but his voice was hollow. We took photos, just the two of us. We went to dinner, his favorite restaurant. We tried to celebrate, but the absence of everyone else hung over us like a cloud. That night, Tyler cried, 18 years old, heading to MIT in the fall, and he cried because his family didn't show up for the most important day of his young life. I called my mother. "What happened? Why didn't he come?" "Oh, Amanda needed help with wedding planning. It was important. Tyler's graduation was important." "Well, he'll understand. He's a smart boy. He knows family helps family. Family shows up for each other," I corrected. "You all promised you'd be there." "Don't be dramatic. It's just a high school graduation. Everyone has those. Amanda's wedding is once in a lifetime. Tyler worked for 4 years for this. He's valedictorian." "That's wonderful, dear. Tell him we're very proud. I have to go. We're meeting the florist." She hung up. I sat there stunned, my son's monumental achievement reduced to just a high school graduation, while my sister's wedding, her third wedding by the way, was treated like a royal coronation. 1 week later, exactly 1 week after missing Tyler's graduation, my phone rang. "Hi, sweetheart." My mother's voice was chipper. "How's Tyler doing?" "He's hurt. You all promised to be there, and no one showed up." "Oh, he'll get over it. Listen, I'm calling because we need your help with something. Amanda's wedding is getting expensive. You know how these things go. And we're collecting contributions from family. We're asking everyone for $2,000. Can you Venmo it by Friday?" I stared at my phone. "You want me to give you $2,000 for Amanda's wedding?" "Well, yes. It's family. Everyone's contributing. Kevin already sent his. Dad and I are covering the venue, but we need help with catering and flowers." "You skipped Tyler's graduation for wedding planning." "Honey, don't be petty. You all promised to be there. All of you. And every single person bailed." Tyler cried himself to sleep because his family didn't think he was worth 2 hours. He's being dramatic. He's 18, and his entire family abandoned him on the most important day of his life. My voice was rising. "And now you want me to pay $2,000 to celebrate Amanda? When none of you could be bothered to celebrate Tyler? Amanda is getting married. It's special. Tyler got a full scholarship to MIT. That's special too. That's incredible. But apparently it's not special enough for any of you to show up. You're being unreasonable." "I'm being unreasonable? You want me to fund a party for people who hurt my son? That's unreasonable. So you're refusing to help your own sister?" "I'm refusing to reward people who couldn't spare 2 hours for my son's graduation." "Fine, be selfish, but don't expect us to forget this." She hung up. I sat with that conversation for a full day. Part of me wanted to keep the peace, to send the money and smooth things over. That's what I'd always done. Be the peacemaker, avoid conflict, make everyone happy. But I kept thinking about Tyler's face. The disappointment, the hurt, the realization that he wasn't important enough for his family to show up. So I went to the bank. I withdrew exactly $1. I put it in a card that read, "Best wishes on your special day. So glad you had time for wedding planning. Tyler's mom." I mailed it. Then I blocked every single one of them. My mother, my father, my sister, my brother, my aunt. Every phone number, every social media account, every way they had to contact me. I didn't tell them I was doing it. I just did it. Monday morning, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Is this Jennifer Walsh?" A male voice, professional and cold. "Yes." "This is Martin Crawford from Crawford and Associates. I'm calling on behalf of my clients, Robert and Patricia Henderson, regarding a family financial dispute. My parents had hired a lawyer." "I'm sorry, what?" "My clients indicate that you committed to contributing $2,000 toward a family celebration and have now refused to honor that commitment. They're prepared to pursue legal action if you don't fulfill your obligation." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Are you serious?" "This is not a laughing matter, Ms. Walsh. Verbal contracts are legally binding in this state. I never agreed to give them money. My mother called and demanded it. I refused. There was no contract. My clients claim you regularly contribute to family expenses and that this constitutes an established pattern. Your clients skipped my son's high school graduation, all of them. They promised to be there, and every single person bailed. Then 1 week later, they demanded money for a wedding. I sent them $1 and blocked them. That's the whole story." Silence on the line. "Mr. Crawford, did you hear me? Your clients missed my son's graduation to plan the wedding they now want me to fund. I was not informed of those circumstances. I'm sure you weren't. I'm sure they told you I was being unreasonable and vindictive. But the truth is, they hurt my son, showed him he doesn't matter to them, and then expected me to pay for their party. So no, I won't be sending $2,000. I won't be sending anything else. And you can tell them that if they contact me again, I'll be filing harassment charges." "Ms. Walsh, there's no need for threats. It's not a threat. It's a boundary. I'm done. Tell your clients to lose my number." I hung up. My hands were shaking. I'd never stood up to my family like that. I'd always been the accommodating one, the easy one, the one who bent to keep the peace. But watching Tyler's face at that graduation, watching him realize his family didn't care, had changed something in me. I wasn't going to teach my son that it was okay to accept being treated as an afterthought. Tuesday afternoon, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find my mother standing there, red-faced and furious. "How dare you block us? How dare you send $1 like some kind of insult?" "It wasn't an insult. It was a contribution. You asked for money. I sent money. Best wishes, like the card said. You know exactly what you did." "Yes, I set a boundary. You all abandoned Tyler at his graduation, then demanded I fund Amanda's wedding." I said no. "That's not unreasonable." We explained about the graduation. Amanda needed help. And Tyler needed his family. He worked for 4 years to be valedictorian. He earned a full scholarship to MIT, and none of you could spare 2 hours to watch him walk across that stage. Don't be so dramatic. Tyler cried himself to sleep that night. My 18-year-old son, who's brilliant, accomplished, and wonderful, cried because his grandparents and aunt and uncle all decided he wasn't worth showing up for. Something flickered in my mother's face. He cried? Yes, he asked me why everyone hated him, why his achievements didn't matter, why Amanda's wedding was more important than his entire high school career. "We don't hate him." "Then why didn't you come?" "I told you Amanda needed." Amanda is 34 years old planning her 3rd wedding. Tyler is 18 celebrating his only high school graduation. Which one actually needed you? My mother's mouth opened and closed. "We were just helping Amanda. You made a choice. You chose Amanda's wedding over Tyler's graduation. You all did. And now you want me to financially support that wedding. The event you chose over my son. And you hired a lawyer when I said no. You sent $1. That was insulting. You sending nobody to Tyler's graduation. That was insulting. The dollar was just honest. You asked for a contribution. I gave what I thought was appropriate given how you treated my son. You're being spiteful. I'm being a mother. I'm showing Tyler that when people hurt him, even family, he doesn't have to reward them for it. He doesn't have to keep giving to people who take him for granted. So you're cutting us off? Over a graduation? Over principle? You made Tyler feel like he doesn't matter. Like his achievements are less important than Amanda's party plans. And then you expected me to pay for that party. No, I won't do it. My mother's eyes filled with tears. He really cried? For hours. He kept asking what he did wrong. Why everyone promised to come and nobody showed up. I didn't think. He's just so smart and together. I didn't think he'd take it so hard. He's 18, Mom. He's still a kid. And every kid wants their family to be proud of them, to show up for them, to care about their accomplishments. I am proud of him. Then why weren't you there? She didn't have an answer. That's what I thought. I started to close the door. I need you to leave now. And please don't come back unless you're ready to apologize to Tyler. Not to me, to him. For missing the most important day of his life. What about Amanda's wedding? What about it? Are you coming? No. I won't celebrate with people who hurt my son and then tried to sue me for not funding their party. Enjoy the wedding. I'm sure Amanda's third time will be the charm. I closed the door. That evening, Tyler came home from his summer job. He found me in the kitchen, still shaken from my mother's visit. You okay, Mom? Yeah. Grandma stopped by. His face closed off. What did she want? To yell at me for not giving them money for Aunt Amanda's wedding. You're kidding. Nope. They actually hired a lawyer to try to force me to pay. Tyler sat down heavily. They hired a lawyer? To make you pay for a wedding? After they all skipped my graduation? Yes. That's insane. That's family, apparently. We sat in silence for a moment. Mom, thank you. For what? For standing up for me. For not just letting them treat me like I don't matter and then pretending everything's fine. His voice cracked slightly. It hurt that they didn't come. It really hurt. But it would have hurt more if you just accepted it and sent them money anyway. I hugged him. You matter, Tyler. You matter more than keeping peace with people who don't appreciate you. And I'm so proud of you. Even without them there? Especially without them there, because their absence showed me what matters. Not the people who promise and disappear, but the people who show up. And I will always show up for you. I know, you always have. Amanda's wedding happened. I wasn't there, neither was Tyler. My mother called from an unknown number 3 days later. I almost didn't answer. Jennifer? Please don't hang up. What do you want, Mom? I talked to Tyler. My heart stopped. You what? He answered when I called from a friend's phone. I apologized. For missing his graduation. For making him feel like he didn't matter. For everything. And? He thanked me for the apology. Then he said he'd think about whether he wanted me in his life or not. That he needed time to decide if he could trust me again. I felt a surge of pride. Good for him. Is that it? Just good for him? Mom, you hurt my son. You made him cry. You made him doubt his worth. And then you demanded I pay for the event you chose over him. Yes, good for him for setting boundaries. Good for him for not immediately accepting an apology and pretending everything's fine. But he's my grandson. Then act like it. Show up. Be present. Care about his life and his achievements. Don't just call when you need something or when you realize you've gone too far. Actually be his grandmother. Can we start over? That's not up to me. That's up to Tyler. He gets to decide who's in his life and on what terms. He's learned that lesson from you. Actions have consequences. People who hurt you don't get unlimited chances. Those are the lessons your absence taught him. I heard her crying on the line. I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Tell him that. Not me. Keep telling him. Show him through actions, not just words. Maybe someday he'll let you back in. Maybe he won't. That's his choice now. What about us? Can we fix this? I don't know, Mom. Can you? Can you accept that Tyler comes first? That his needs and feelings matter more than Amanda's wedding planning or Kevin's drama or whatever else you decide is more important? Yes, I can try. Then try, but understand that trying means showing up. It means being there when it matters, not just when it's convenient. It means Tyler's MIT graduation in 4 years. That's non-negotiable. It means his future achievements, his life, his milestones. All of them. I understand. We'll see. That was 6 months ago. My mother has called Tyler once a week since then. She asks about MIT, his classes, his friends. She doesn't ask for anything. She just listens. Tyler talks to her cautiously. He's polite but distant. Trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild. My father sent Tyler a check for $1,000 with a note for MIT expenses. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your graduation. Proud of you. Tyler cashed it but hasn't called him back. Amanda never apologized. I don't expect her to. Kevin sent a text. Heard what happened. You're right. We screwed up. Sorry. Small, but something. As for me, I don't regret the dollar I sent or the boundaries I set. I don't regret blocking them or refusing to fund a wedding for people who couldn't spare 2 hours for my son. Because Tyler learned something important, that he deserves people who show up, that his achievements matter, that his mother will always choose him over keeping peace with people who hurt him. And that's worth more than any family relationship built on obligation and guilt. Tyler's at MIT now, thriving. When he graduates in 4 years, I'll be there. Whether my family shows up is their choice. But this time, their absence won't hurt him. Because he knows his worth. And that's the greatest gift I could give him. My son Oliver's heart surgery was scheduled for May 14th at 6 a.m. He was 7 years old, terrified, and facing a 4-hour procedure to repair a congenital valve defect. I'd told my family about it 6 weeks in advance. I called everyone personally, explained how serious it was, how scared Oliver was, and how much we could use their support. My mother promised she'd be there. Of course, sweetheart. We'll all be there. Oliver needs his family. My sister Diane said she'd take the day off work. My brother Marcus said he'd drive down from Portland. My father said he'd bring Oliver's favorite stuffed animal. The night before surgery, Oliver couldn't sleep. Will Grandma really be there when I wake up? He asked, his small hand gripping mine. She promised, buddy. Everyone promised. What if I don't wake up? My heart broke. You will wake up. The doctors are excellent, and I'll be right there the whole time. But everyone else too. They'll all be there? They'll all be there. That was the last promise I should have made. We arrived at the hospital at 5:30 a.m. Oliver was brave through check-in, changing into his gown, and meeting the anesthesiologist. But his eyes kept darting to the waiting room entrance. Where's Grandma? He whispered as they prepped him for surgery. She's probably parking. Traffic, you know. And Uncle Marcus? He had a long drive. He'll be here. The nurse came to wheel him to the operating room. Oliver grabbed my hand, tears streaming down his face. Mom, I'm scared. I know, baby, but you're so brave. And when you wake up, everyone will be there to see you. They took him away at 6:02 a.m. I walked to the waiting room and checked my phone. No messages, no missed calls. I waited. 6:30 a.m. nothing. 7:00 a.m. still nothing. At 7:15, I called my mother. Voicemail. I called Diane. Voicemail. Marcus. Voicemail. My father finally answered at 7:45. Oh, Jennifer, I'm so sorry. Your mother and I can't make it today. Something came up with Diane's wedding planning. We need to meet the venue coordinator this morning. Dad, Oliver is in surgery right now. You promised you'd be here. Well, we didn't realize the venue appointment would be today. It's the only time they had available. So reschedule it. The wedding is in 3 weeks. We can't reschedule. Diane needs us. Oliver needs you. He's 7 years old and having heart surgery. He'll be fine. He's a tough kid. Tell him we're thinking of him. He hung up. I sat in that waiting room for 4 hours, alone, watching other families cluster together, supporting each other. Every child who came out of surgery had grandparents, aunts, uncles, and siblings waiting. Oliver had me. When they finally let me into recovery, Oliver was groggy but awake. His eyes searched the room. Where is everyone? His voice was small and broken. They couldn't make it, sweetie. But I'm here, and the surgery went perfectly. They promised. He started crying, which made his chest hurt, which made him cry harder. A nurse came over with pain medication. She looked at me with such pity it made me want to scream. My 7-year-old son, recovering from heart surgery, crying because his family didn't show up. We went home the next day. Oliver was quiet, withdrawn. I tried to keep his spirits up, but he barely spoke. My mother called that evening. How's our little soldier? Heartbroken, literally and figuratively. Oh, don't be dramatic. I'm sure he's fine. Kids are resilient. He's devastated that no one came. He keeps asking why you didn't show up. Well, the wedding planning was important. Diane's big day is coming up. Oliver's surgery was important. It was life-threatening. He was terrified. But it went fine, right? So everything worked out. I hung up on her. 3 days later, 3 days after my son's heart surgery, my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Mom, hi sweetheart. We need to talk about something important. Diane found her dream wedding dress, but it's $5,000. We're asking all the family to chip in. Can you send your contribution by Friday? We need to secure it before someone else buys it. I stared at that message for a full minute. $5,000 for a dress. 3 days after they'd all skipped Oliver's surgery for wedding planning. I walked to Oliver's room. He was sleeping, still pale, still wearing his hospital bracelet, a 4-inch scar on his tiny chest. I walked back to my phone and opened my banking app. I transferred exactly 50 cents to my mother's account. Then I typed a message. For the veil. Best wishes. I hit send. Then I did something I'd been considering for months but had never had the courage to do. Years ago, when I'd gotten a significant raise, my parents had convinced me to add them as authorized users on one of my accounts just in case of emergencies. They'd said it would be easier for family support, for helping each other out. I'd agreed because that's what I always did. Agreed, accommodated, bent to keep the peace. That account now had $47,000 in it. My savings, my emergency fund. Money I'd worked hard for. I logged into my bank's website and removed their access. Removed them as authorized users. Changed all my passwords. Secured everything. Then I blocked all their numbers. I didn't tell them I was doing it. I just did it. The next morning at 8:47 a.m., my phone rang from an unknown number. Ms. Jennifer Walsh? Yes. This is Derek Morrison, branch manager at Pacific Union Bank. I have your mother, Patricia Walsh, here in my office. She's asking about some account access issues. I'm sorry, what? She's indicating that she had authorized access to one of your accounts and now she's unable to access it. She's quite upset and asked me to call you to clear this up. Mr. Morrison, I removed her access yesterday. That account is mine. She's no longer authorized. I see. She's claiming there was some kind of mistake. There's no mistake. I deliberately revoked her access. The account is in my name only now. I heard my mother's voice in the background. Let me talk to her. Ms. Walsh, the manager continued, your mother is insisting this is some kind of error. She says there was family money in that account. Every penny in that account is money I earned. My paychecks. My savings. She was an authorized user as a courtesy, but it's my account. I have every right to revoke that access. Of course you do. I just wanted to confirm before we. My mother's voice got louder. Tell her to fix it. Tell her she can't just steal from family. Mr. Morrison, I said clearly, please inform my mother that I haven't stolen anything. That account contains only my money. She has no legal claim to it. And if she continues to harass me or your staff about this, I'll consider it financial harassment. Understood. I'll explain the situation to her. Thank you. I hung up and immediately received 3 calls from different unknown numbers. I didn't answer any of them. An hour later, my doorbell rang. My brother Marcus stood there, looking angry and uncomfortable. What the hell, Jen? Hello to you too. Mom called me crying, said you stole money from her and locked her out of your account. I didn't steal anything. I removed her access to my account, the one with my money in it. She says there was family money. There wasn't. Every dollar in that account came from my paychecks. She was an authorized user for emergencies. But apparently, emergencies don't include my son's heart surgery. Marcus had the grace to look ashamed. Look about that. You promised Oliver you'd be there. You all did. He's 7 years old and he had heart surgery. Alone, with just me. We had the venue thing, which you could have rescheduled, or attended after the surgery, or literally any other time. I crossed my arms. But you chose a wedding venue walkthrough over a 7-year-old's heart surgery, and now you're all shocked that I won't hand over $5,000 for Diane's dress? It's for family. Oliver is family. Where was the family support when he needed it? Where were you when he came out of surgery asking why nobody came? He asked that. Of course he asked that. You all promised. He went into heart surgery believing his family would be there, and he woke up to find out none of you cared enough to show up. Marcus rubbed his face. Mom said it was a routine surgery. It was a 4-hour open heart surgery on a 7-year-old. There's nothing routine about that. We didn't know it was that serious. I told you. I called every single one of you and explained exactly what was happening. You chose not to listen. You chose to believe it wasn't important because that made it easier to skip it for wedding planning. So you're punishing us by locking mom out of your money? It's not punishment. It's a boundary. She had access to my account as an emergency backup. She's proven she doesn't understand what an emergency is. A wedding dress is not an emergency. Oliver's surgery was. What about Diane's wedding? What about family supporting family? Marcus, I just watched my 7-year-old son go through heart surgery surrounded by strangers while his entire family was picking out centerpieces. Don't talk to me about family support. So that's it? You're cutting us all off? I'm protecting my son and myself from people who've proven they don't care about us. Yes. If that means cutting you off, then yes. He left without another word. That afternoon, Diane herself showed up. I almost didn't open the door. I can't believe you, she said the moment I did. My wedding is in 3 weeks, and you're sabotaging it. I'm not sabotaging anything. You sent mom 50 cents, with a sarcastic note, and then you locked her out of your account so she can't even access the family emergency fund. There is no family emergency fund. That's my savings account, my money, and mom is not entitled to it. She said you all agreed to pool resources for family needs. She lied. She convinced me to make her an authorized user just in case. I've never taken a penny from that account for anything but my own expenses. It's not a family fund. Well, we need it now. I need that dress. You need a $5,000 dress while my son recovered from heart surgery with no family support except me. Your son is fine. No, Diane, he's not fine. He's heartbroken. He keeps asking what he did wrong. Why nobody came to see him. Why his surgery wasn't important enough for his family to show up. Something flickered across her face. It was important. More important than a venue walkthrough. More important than wedding planning, because you all chose the wedding over him. Every single one of you. We didn't mean to hurt him. But you did. You all promised you'd be there. He went into surgery believing that, and he woke up alone except for me. I'm sorry, Diane said quietly. I really am. I didn't think about how it would affect him. Because you didn't think about him at all. You thought about your wedding, just like you're thinking about it now. You're not here because you care that Oliver is hurt. You're here because I won't fund your dress. That's not fair. Neither is asking me for $5,000 3 days after you all abandoned my son during heart surgery. Mom said you could afford it. I can afford it. That doesn't mean I'm obligated to spend it on you, especially not after what you all did. Diane's eyes filled with tears. So I can't have my dream dress because of one mistake. It wasn't one mistake. It's a pattern. My needs don't matter. Oliver's needs don't matter. Only yours do. That's always been the family dynamic. But I'm done with it. What do you want? An apology? I want you to understand that actions have consequences. You chose your wedding over my son. Now I'm choosing my son over your wedding. That's fair. She left crying, but I felt no guilt. Over the next week, I received calls from relatives I hadn't heard from in years, all taking my family's side, all explaining why I was being unreasonable. I blocked every single one. My father sent a long email about family obligations and disappointing him. I deleted it without finishing. My mother tried to show up at my workplace. Security escorted her out after I declined to meet with her. Through it all, I focused on Oliver, his recovery, his physical therapy, his emotional healing. Mom, he asked one night, why didn't they come? Because they made a bad choice. They thought something else was more important than you. Was it? No, buddy. Nothing is more important than you. Not to me. And you know what? You don't need people who think weddings are more important than your health. You deserve better than that. Do you think they'll ever say sorry? Maybe. Someday. But even if they do, that doesn't mean we have to let them hurt us again. So we don't have to see them. Not if you don't want to. He thought about that. I don't want to. They made me sad. Then we won't see them. It's okay to protect yourself from people who hurt you, even if they're family. Even grandma? Even grandma. He hugged me. Good. I like it when it's just us anyway. 2 months passed. Oliver healed beautifully. His scar faded. His smile returned. He stopped asking about his grandparents. Diane's wedding happened. I wasn't invited. I didn't care. My mother left a voicemail. I hope you're happy. You ruined Diane's wedding by not contributing. Everyone knows what you did. You should be ashamed. I wasn't ashamed. I was relieved. Then 3 months after Oliver's surgery, a card arrived in the mail from my father. Inside was a check for $5,000 and a note. Jennifer, I'm not asking you to cash this. I'm asking you to see it as what it represents, the amount we asked you to contribute to something trivial while ignoring something vital. The amount that represented our priorities being completely wrong. You were right. Oliver's surgery was an emergency. The wedding wasn't. We chose badly. We hurt both of you. This check is what we should have offered. Help for medical expenses, support during a crisis, putting family first. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I understand what we did. I'm sorry, Dad. I held that check for a long time. Oliver peeked over my shoulder. What is it? An apology. From Grandpa. Is it a good apology? I think so. He understands what he did wrong. Does that mean we have to see them? No. It means he's learning. Whether we let him back into our lives is up to us. We decide who gets our time and energy. I'm not ready yet. Then we wait until you are, or we don't. Either way is okay. I never cashed that check, but I kept the note because maybe someday Oliver would be ready to consider forgiveness. Or maybe he wouldn't. And either way, I'd choose him. Every single time. The Mason family brunch was held at the country club every first Sunday. White tablecloths, mimosas, and carefully maintained appearances, everything the Masons valued. I'd been avoiding these brunches for 2 years, but today was special. Today, I had information. I walked into the club's dining room wearing jeans and a simple sweater, deliberately casual compared to everyone else's designer outfits. My sister-in-law, Victoria, spotted me immediately, her face twisting in disgust. Oh my God, she announced loudly, look what the cat dragged in. Didn't know this establishment allowed beggars. 20 heads turned. My brother Marcus looked uncomfortable. My mother sighed. My father didn't even look up from his menu. Hello, Victoria. I smiled pleasantly and took the empty seat next to Marcus. Excuse me? Victoria stood up, her voice shrill. You can't just sit here. This is a private family brunch. We have standards. I'm family, I pointed out. Last I checked, being Marcus's sister still counts. Sister who dresses like she shops at thrift stores, Victoria sneered. Sister who drives a 10-year-old car. Sister who works as a, she paused dramatically. What is it you do again? Some boring bank job? I'm a financial analyst. How thrilling. Meanwhile, Marcus and I are doing amazing. He just made partner at his law firm, and we're closing on our dream home next week. We're actually successful. She turned to the table. I don't know why she even comes to these things. It's embarrassing having her here. Several cousins laughed. My Aunt Patricia looked away. My mother finally spoke up. Nicole, maybe you should. Should what, Mom? Leave? Stop embarrassing Victoria by existing? I pulled a large manila envelope from my bag and set it on the table. Actually, I think I'll stay. I have some things to share. What is that? Marcus asked, his voice tight. Documents, information, truth. I looked at Victoria. You mentioned I work at a bank. You're right. I'm a senior financial analyst at Riverside National Bank. I've worked there for 8 years, moving up from entry level to my current position. How nice for you, Victoria said sarcastically. I'm sure it's very fulfilling stamping papers and filing folders. I don't stamp papers. I analyze financial risks for high net worth clients and commercial accounts. I evaluate creditworthiness, detect patterns of financial fraud, and advise on debt restructuring. I paused. I also review loan applications and identify red flags. Marcus had gone pale. Nicole. Red flags like, I opened the envelope and pulled out the first document. Someone taking out 17 different credit cards in 18 months, using them to make cash advances, maxing them out, then taking new cards to pay off the old ones. I spread the credit card statements across the table. Marcus has $427,000 in credit card debt across 17 different cards. Interest rates ranging from 18% to 29%. Minimum monthly payments totaling $11,500. Where did you get those? Victoria's voice had lost its confidence. Banks share information. When someone applies for this many cards this quickly, it triggers fraud alerts. Marcus's applications came across my desk 3 months ago for review. That's private, Marcus started. It's also concerning, so I did some digging. I pulled out more documents. Marcus has been gambling. Heavily. Online poker, sports betting, casino visits. I have transaction records from the past 2 years showing $2.3 million in total gambling losses. The table erupted. $2 million? My father finally looked up. 2.3 million, I corrected. He won some back, but the net loss is 1.9 million. The credit cards are how he's been covering the losses and keeping Victoria from finding out. Victoria was frozen, staring at the papers. That's not possible. Marcus doesn't gamble. Marcus has a gambling addiction, I said gently. He's been hiding it well. The late nights working on cases, poker games, the weekend conferences, casino trips, the work bonuses he told you about, money he borrowed and lied about. You're lying, Victoria whispered, but her voice shook. I wish I was. I pulled out bank statements. These show cash advances, transfers to gambling sites, ATM withdrawals at casinos. The pattern is clear and documented. Marcus put his head in his hands. Nicole, please stop. I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm doing this because it gets worse. I pulled out another document. This is your mortgage application for that dream home you're closing on next week. You told the bank you have $200,000 for the down payment. We do, Victoria said. Marcus said. Marcus lied. The $200,000 is borrowed money. Personal loans from 3 different lenders at predatory rates. He's planning to use debt to make a down payment on a $1.8 million house you can't afford. The bank approved us, Victoria protested. The bank approved you based on fraudulent information. Marcus claimed your household income was $450,000. His actual income is $180,000. He inflated the numbers, provided fake tax returns, and lied about existing debts. I laid out the evidence, the real tax returns versus the fake ones he'd submitted, the debt disclosures he falsified, and the income statements he manufactured. This is mortgage fraud, I said. It's a federal crime. If the bank discovers this before closing, which they will because I'm reporting it, the loan will be denied. If they discover it after closing, Marcus could face criminal charges. Victoria was crying now. Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to destroy us? I'm not trying to destroy you. I'm trying to save you from destroying yourselves. I pulled out more documents. You asked why I came today. I came because Marcus's financial house of cards is collapsing. The credit cards are maxed. The minimum payments exceed his take-home pay. In 3 weeks, he'll start defaulting. We'll figure it out, Marcus mumbled. You can't figure it out. The math doesn't work. Even if you stop gambling today, you owe $1.9 million plus interest. Your income can't cover it. You're going to lose everything. What do you care? Victoria spat. You just said I was embarrassing, that I didn't belong here. Why do you care if we lose everything? Because despite everything, Marcus is my brother. And you're about to close on a house using fraudulent documents, which will make everything worse. You'll have a mortgage you can't pay, debt you can't service, and potential criminal charges hanging over your head. I pulled out one final document. This is a foreclosure notice. Not for the house you're buying, for the condo you're living in now. The one Marcus told you was paid off? He took out a second mortgage 2 years ago, $400,000, and used it for gambling. He hasn't made a payment in 4 months. The bank is foreclosing. You have 60 days before eviction. Victoria let out a sound between a sob and a scream. You're lying. This is all lies. It's all documented. All true. All available in public records if anyone bothered to look. I looked at my brother. I bothered to look because your loan applications were so suspicious they triggered every fraud alert we have. What are we supposed to do? Marcus asked, his voice broken. First, you cancel the house closing. Tell them you can't proceed. You'll lose the deposit, but that's better than mortgage fraud charges. But that's our dream home, Victoria started. Your dream home was built on $2 million in debt and lies. It was never real. I pulled out another paper. Second, you need help. Real help. I've made an appointment with a gambling addiction counselor for Tuesday. I've also contacted a bankruptcy attorney. Your financial situation is unsalvageable. Bankruptcy is your only option. Bankruptcy? My father finally spoke up. Absolutely not. No Mason has ever declared bankruptcy. Then maybe someone should help Marcus with his $2 million problem. I shot back. Can you write a check for that, Dad? Because if not, bankruptcy is the only way out. Silence. Third, I continued, Victoria, you need to separate your finances from Marcus immediately. Open your own bank account. Move your income there. Protect yourself, because when his debts collapse, creditors will come after everything. You're telling me to leave my husband? Victoria asked. I'm telling you to protect yourself legally and financially. Whether you stay married is up to you. But right now, your name is on some of these accounts. When Marcus defaults, they'll garnish your wages too. This is insane, Victoria whispered. This is consequences. Marcus made choices, bad choices, for 2 years. Now those choices have caught up to him. I looked at my brother. I'm sorry, I really am. But this intervention needed to happen before you committed federal crimes and made everything worse. Why didn't you tell me privately? Marcus asked. I tried. I called you 4 times last week. You didn't answer. I texted you the first page of your credit report. You blocked my number. I gestured to the table. So I came here, knowing Victoria would make a scene, knowing everyone would be watching. Because you needed witnesses. You needed accountability. You needed people to see the truth, so you couldn't keep lying. My mother was crying quietly. My father looked as if he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Victoria sat frozen, staring at the documents that had just destroyed her perfect life. I know you hate me right now, I said to Victoria. You called me a beggar, said I was embarrassing, said I didn't belong here. And maybe you're right. I've never fit in with this family's obsession with appearances and status. But I'm the only one who saw what was happening. I'm the only one who cared enough to stop it before it got worse. How could it get worse? Victoria asked bitterly. The mortgage fraud. That's 5 years in federal prison. The foreclosure? That destroys your credit for at least 7 years. The gambling debts? Those people Marcus owes money to? Some of them aren't banks. Some of them are much more dangerous than missed credit card payments. Marcus looked up sharply. What do you mean? I mean $400,000 of your debt is to private lenders. 3 different ones. With interest rates over 40%. The kind of lenders who don't go through legal channels for collection. I pulled out the final papers. These are the loan agreements. Read the fine print. Read what happens when you default. Marcus read, his face going gray. Oh God. What? Victoria grabbed the papers. She read, then looked like she might be sick. They can take our house, our car, or everything. And that's just the legal stuff they put in writing. The illegal enforcement methods aren't documented. I looked at Marcus. How far behind are you? 2 months. Then you have maybe 2 weeks before enforcement begins. That's another reason I came today. That's another reason this needed to be public. Because these people need to know you have family watching. They need to know you're not alone or unprotected. My father finally took charge. Marcus, you're moving back home. Tonight, both of you. We'll figure out the debts, the foreclosure, everything. But you're not staying alone where those people can find you easily. Dad, I'm 40 years old, Marcus protested weakly. And you're $2 million in debt to loan sharks. Your pride is not the priority here. Nicole, can you arrange a meeting with that bankruptcy attorney? Already done. Tuesday at 2 p.m. He knows the full situation. Good. Dad looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in years. You did the right thing. Coming here, making it public. I'm sorry, He glanced at Victoria. I'm sorry for what was said. It's fine. It's not fine. You're family. You're always welcome here. And apparently you're the only one paying attention to what actually matters. He stood up. Marcus, Victoria, get your things. You're coming home. Everyone else, brunch is over. The Mason family has some private business to attend to. The aftermath took months. Marcus declared bankruptcy, lost the condo to foreclosure, and entered a residential gambling addiction program for 90 days. Victoria stayed with him, barely. They're in marriage counseling now, trying to rebuild trust that may never fully return. The loan sharks were handled. Dad hired lawyers and negotiators who settled the debts for 60 cents on the dollar. Expensive, but better than the alternative. Marcus is working again, at a smaller firm with a smaller salary. He attends Gamblers Anonymous 3 times a week. He's on a cash-only budget managed by Victoria. And me? I'm still the boring bank analyst with the thrift store clothes and the old car. But I'm also the one who saved my brother from federal prison, and possibly worse. At the next family brunch, 3 months later, Victoria walked up to me. I'm sorry, she said quietly, for what I said, for how I treated you. You saved us, and I called you a beggar. You didn't know, I said. I didn't want to know. I wanted the big house, the perfect life, the image of success. I didn't care what it cost or whether it was real. She paused. You cared about what was real, even when we treated you like you were nothing. Your family, I said simply. That's what family does. No, that's what you do. That's what real success looks like, not the house or the car or the designer clothes. The character, the integrity, the courage to tell hard truths. She hugged me. I hugged her back. Marcus joined us. Thank you, he said. I know I didn't say it then. I was too angry, too ashamed, but thank you for caring enough to stop me. You're welcome. And Marcus, you're going to be okay. It'll take time, but you'll rebuild the right way this time. With your help. Always. Because that's what family does. Not the fake family that cares about appearances. The real family that cares about each other. The Forbes 30 Under 30 article dropped on a Wednesday morning. Tech entrepreneur Rachel Morrison, 29, disrupts fintech industry with AI-powered investment platform. Company valued at $340 million. The article included a photo of me in my corner office, another of our headquarters, and a sidebar listing my achievements. Youngest female CEO in fintech, patent holder for 3 algorithms, an early Bitcoin investor who turned $50,000 into $8 million. My phone started ringing at 7:47 a.m. First my brother, Rachel, is this article real? Then my sister, why didn't you tell us you were rich? Then, at 8:03 a.m., my father, family meeting, tonight. 6 p.m. sharp. We need to discuss some things. I stared at that last message for a long time. 2 years. That's how long it had been since my wedding, the one my parents refused to attend because I was marrying beneath our station. But 16 minutes after Forbes published my net worth, suddenly there were things to discuss. Let me take you back. I'm Rachel Morrison, and I grew up in the kind of family that valued appearances over everything. My father was a corporate lawyer at a prestigious firm. My mother sat on charity boards and organized galas. We lived in a mansion in the best neighborhood, drove luxury cars, and maintained an image of success. The problem? Most of it was smoke and mirrors. My parents were drowning in debt, mortgages, car loans, credit cards maxed out just to maintain their lifestyle. But nobody knew because the Morrisons never showed weakness. When I graduated from MIT with a computer science degree, they were disappointed I didn't go to Harvard Law. When I started working in tech instead of joining Dad's firm, they called it wasting my potential. When I began developing my own software, they said I was playing with computers instead of building a real career. And when I got engaged to Marcus, a high school teacher with a master's degree and a heart of gold, they lost it completely. A teacher? My mother had said, her voice dripping with disdain. Rachel, we raised you for better than this. Marcus is brilliant, kind, and he loves me. He makes $52,000 a year. My father interrupted. That's not a life. That's poverty with a college degree. We're not poor. We're happy. You're settling, and we won't support it. My father's voice was final. If you insist on marrying this man, don't expect us at the wedding. I thought he was bluffing. I sent invitations anyway. My parents RSVP'd, declined. So did my brother James and my sister Catherine, following Mom and Dad's lead as always. The wedding was beautiful anyway. A small ceremony in a garden, 50 friends, and Marcus's wonderful family. His mother walked me down the aisle. I cried, but not from joy alone. My family sent nothing. No card, no call, no acknowledgement that I'd gotten married. For 2 years, I'd reached out occasionally. Birthday texts that went unanswered. Holiday invitations ignored. I finally stopped trying 6 months ago. Until today. Until Forbes made my success impossible to ignore. You're not actually going, are you? Marcus asked, reading the text over my shoulder. Oh, I'm going, I said, making a phone call. But not alone. Rachel, what are you planning? I smiled at my husband. Remember when you asked if my investment portfolio included any real estate? Yeah. I wasn't entirely honest about what I purchased. I put the phone to my ear. David, it's Rachel Morrison. I need you and 2 associates at an address tonight. 6 p.m. Yes, security detail. I'll explain everything. I spent the day preparing, phone calls to my lawyer, my accountant, and my real estate manager. I printed documents, organized files, and got dressed in my best power suit, but Armani one that cost more than my parents spent on my entire childhood wardrobe. Marcus watched me with concern and curiosity. Are you going to tell me what's happening? Do you remember 18 months ago when that foreclosure investment opportunity came up? The one I said I passed on? Yeah, I didn't pass on it. I bought the property through my LLC. For $1.3 million, I acquired a mortgage that was 3 months from foreclosure. The property is worth about $2 million, but the owners were desperate. Marcus's eyes widened. Rachel, whose mortgage? I showed him the property address. That's your parents' house. Was their house? Technically, they've been my tenants for 18 months. They just don't know it because all the paperwork went through Davidson Holdings LLC, and they never bothered to check who bought their loan. Oh my God. They've been paying me $4,800 a month in rent, which doesn't even cover the mortgage interest, by the way. But I've been letting it slide because I didn't want to think about it. I kept hoping they'd reach out, that they'd apologize, that they care about me for reasons other than money. And now they've proven they only care because of Forbes. So we're going to have a conversation about family and consequences, and what happens when you treat people as disposable. I arrived at my parents' house at 6:07 p.m. in a chauffeured Tesla, with 3 security guards in suits. My brother's BMW was in the driveway. So was my sister's Mercedes. The whole family assembled for the emergency meeting. My mother opened the door, her smile bright and fake. Rachel, you look, oh my, are those bodyguards? Security detail. Standard practice for someone with my net worth. May we come in? She stepped aside, flustered. The security team stayed by the entrance while I walked into the living room where my family waited. My father stood immediately. Rachel, thank you for coming. We saw the Forbes article. 17 minutes after it published, I interrupted. That's how long it took for you to text me. 2 years of silence, then 17 minutes. We've been busy. For 2 years? Too busy to respond to a single text. Too busy to acknowledge your daughter got married? I smiled coldly. But not too busy to set up an emergency meeting when you found out I'm worth $47 million personally, plus equity in a $340 million company. The room went quiet. We wanted to reconnect, Catherine offered weakly. Family is important. Is it? Because family wasn't important enough to attend my wedding. Family wasn't important enough to meet Marcus. Family wasn't important when I was just a computer nerd with no money. I looked at each of them. But now that Forbes validated me, suddenly I'm worth your time. That's not fair, James protested. We had concerns about your choices. My choices are why I'm successful. Your choices are why you're drowning in debt and barely keeping up appearances. My father's face reddened. We're doing fine. You're $340,000 in debt, not counting your mortgage. Your cars are leased. Catherine's husband lost his job 4 months ago, but you're all pretending everything's fine. James, your consulting business made $23,000 last year. And you too. I looked at my parents. They're 3 months behind on property taxes and 6 weeks away from having your country club membership revoked for non-payment. How do you know? Mom started. Because I'm good at what I do. Research, data analysis, seeing patterns others miss. It's why I'm successful. I pulled out my folder, which brings me to why I'm really here. I laid the documents on their coffee table. The coffee table I technically owned. This is the mortgage for this property. The one you defaulted on 2 years ago. The one that was bought by an investment company to prevent foreclosure. Dad grabbed the papers. What is this? That investment company is mine, Davidson Holdings LLC. I've owned your mortgage for 18 months. You've been paying rent to your daughter. The daughter who wasn't worth showing up for. The color drained from my mother's face. No, that's not possible. It's all documented. When you defaulted, the bank bundled your mortgage with others and sold it at a loss. I bought the bundle, refinanced the other properties, and kept this one. Because even after you abandoned me at my wedding, I couldn't stand the thought of you being homeless. Rachel, sweetheart. Dad tried. Don't sweetheart me now. For 18 months, I could have evicted you. Could have foreclosed. Could have done exactly what you deserved. But I didn't. Because I kept hoping you'd prove me wrong. That you'd reach out because you missed me, not because you wanted something. We do miss you, Catherine said, crying now. You miss having access to someone successful. There's a difference. I pulled out another document. This is a notice of lease termination. You have 60 days to vacate the property. You're evicting us? Mom's voice was barely audible. I'm taking back my property. I'm selling it. Should get about $2 million based on the current market value. I'll clear about $600,000 profit after costs. Where are we supposed to go? James asked. I don't know. Figure it out, like I had to figure out my wedding without my family. Figure it out like I figured out how to build a company without your support. Figure it out like Marcus and I figured out our entire lives while you pretended we didn't exist. Rachel, please, my father's voice cracked. We made a mistake. We were wrong about Marcus, wrong about your career. You weren't wrong, you were cruel. There's a difference. Being wrong is an accident. What you did was deliberate. You chose your pride over your daughter. My mother stood up. We're still your parents. Biologically, yes, but parents show up. Parents support their children. Parents don't abandon them on their wedding day and then come running back when they're profitable. I nodded to my security team. Gentlemen, could you escort my family out of this property, please? What? Dad looked confused. This is our home. No, sir. This is Ms. Morrison's property. She's asked you to leave. The lead security guard was professional but firm. Please gather only essential items. You'll have access tomorrow with proper supervision to collect your belongings. You can't do this, James shouted. This is insane. This is consequences. I stayed seated while my family was ushered toward the door. You taught me that image matters more than love, that money matters more than family, that people are only valuable if they meet your standards. Well, congratulations, I learned the lesson. My mother turned at the door, mascara running down her face. We're your family. How can you do this to us? How could you skip my wedding? I countered. How could you ignore me for 2 years? How could you only care when Forbes told you to? They had no answer. I watched security escort them out, my father protesting, my mother crying, my siblings in shock. Then I sat alone in the house I owned, surrounded by their expensive furniture that they'd now have to move, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no revenge high, just emptiness. My phone buzzed. Marcus, how did it go? I called him instead of texting. They're gone. Security escorted them out. How do you feel? Numb. I thought I'd feel vindicated or powerful or something. Instead, I just feel sad. Come home, Rach. Your real home, with me. I'm coming, but Marcus, I need you to do something for me tomorrow. Anything. Call a real estate agent. I want to sell this house as fast as possible. I don't want to own it anymore. It just reminds me of what I lost. Your family? No. My illusions about them. That's harder to lose than the people themselves. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls and 89 text messages. My parents begging for another chance. Catherine apologizing. James offering to work things out. Extended family I hadn't heard from in years, all weighing in with opinions. I deleted them all without reading most of them. Instead, I called my real estate agent. List the property at $1.95 million. Price it to move fast. I want it sold within 30 days. That's aggressive pricing. We could get more if we wait. I don't want to wait. I want it gone. It sold in 12 days. Full price, cash offer, quick close. I cleared a $627,000 profit. I donated it to a scholarship fund for students from low-income families pursuing STEM degrees. The announcement made the local news. My parents saw it. They called again. This time, I answered. How could you give away that money? My father demanded. That was a fortune. I have a fortune. I don't need money I made from my family's financial desperation. That felt dirty. So I gave it to kids who remind me of who I used to be, smart, ambitious, and unappreciated by the people who should have supported them most. We want to apologize, Mom said, her voice desperate. Really apologize. We were terrible parents. Yes, you were. Can we try again? Start over? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know, I said honestly. You didn't just skip my wedding. You ignored me for 2 years. You only came back when I had something you wanted. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. We can change, maybe, but proving that takes time. It takes showing up when there's nothing in it for you. It takes caring about me when I'm not in Forbes. We'll do anything, Dad said. Then prove it. Marcus and I are having dinner next Sunday, 6 p.m. casual. Our apartment. If you show up, really show up, to know us and spend time with us and not to ask for anything, then maybe we can start talking. But if you come with expectations or agendas or anything other than genuine interest in our lives, don't bother. We'll be there, Mom promised. We'll see. Sunday came. Marcus and I set the table for 4, just in case. 6 o'clock passed, then 6:15, then 6:30. They're not coming, I said, trying to hide my disappointment. Marcus squeezed my hand. Then we have more lasagna for leftovers. At 6:47, the doorbell rang. My parents stood there, empty-handed, looking nervous. We're late, Dad said. Traffic was. You're here, I interrupted. That's what matters. We had dinner. It was awkward, stilted. My parents asked about my work, and I could tell they didn't understand half of it. But they tried. They asked about Marcus's teaching. They looked at our wedding photos, finally. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a magical reconciliation, but it was honest. And maybe that was enough for now. Thank you for coming, I said as they left. Thank you for giving us another chance, Mom replied. I didn't say you're welcome, because they hadn't earned that yet. But I didn't close the door on them either, because maybe some families are worth the long, hard work of rebuilding. Even if it means starting from ruins. The annual Thompson family reunion was held at the Lakeside Country Club, the same one my family had been members of for 30 years. I hadn't been to one in 5 years, not since I'd stopped trying to prove myself to people who had already decided I wasn't worth their time. But this year was different. This year, I had a reason to attend. I walked through the entrance in a simple black dress and flats, carrying my leather briefcase. The outdoor pavilion was decorated with banners and balloons, and the tables were laden with catered food. About 60 people milled around, aunts, uncles, cousins, and their families. My brother David spotted me first. His face shifted from surprise to discomfort. Ava, I didn't think you'd come. Got the invitation. Thought I'd stop by. I smiled pleasantly. Before David could respond, his wife Jennifer appeared, her face already twisted in disgust. She was wearing designer everything, dress, shoes, jewelry, all of it screaming, "Look at me." What are you doing here? Jennifer's voice carried across the pavilion, drawing attention. Nobody wants you here. Seriously, just get lost. The conversation around us died. 60 pairs of eyes turned to watch. Hello, Jennifer. Nice to see you too. I kept my voice calm. Don't nice to see you me. You know you're not welcome. She turned to address the crowd. Can you believe this? Shows up after 5 years like she belongs here. It's a family reunion, I pointed out. I'm family. Family doesn't abandon everyone for 5 years. Jennifer crossed her arms. Family doesn't act like they're too good for everyone else. My Uncle Richard laughed from his table. She's got a point, Ava. You disappeared. Can't blame people for moving on without you. Without even a phone call, my Aunt Susan added. Very rude. I could have pointed out that my phone worked both ways. That I'd sent party cards for 3 years before giving up. That not once had any of them reached out to ask why I'd distanced myself. But I didn't. You're right, I said instead. I have been distant. I apologize for that. Jennifer blinked, clearly not expecting agreement. Then her mean smile returned. Well, it's too late now. We're all doing great without you. David got promoted to VP at Morrison Tech. We just bought a new house. 4,000 square feet. We're doing amazing. I'm happy for you both. Meanwhile, what have you been doing? Still working that little administrative job? Jennifer's voice dripped with false sympathy. Still living in that tiny apartment? Several people chuckled. I saw my cousin Amanda whispering to her husband, both smirking. Actually, I said, I've made some career changes. Oh, let me guess. You're a manager now. Jennifer laughed. How impressive. David makes $180,000 a year as VP. What are you making? 50, 60. Something like that. See? Jennifer turned to the crowd. This is what happens when you don't apply yourself. When you settle for mediocrity. No ambition, no drive, no success. Jennifer, maybe we should. David tried to interrupt. No, I think everyone needs to hear this. Ava used to act like she was better than all of us. Too smart, too good for the family business. And where did it get her? Nowhere. While we're all thriving, she's working a dead-end job and living paycheck to paycheck. How do you know I'm living paycheck to paycheck? I asked curiously. Because you're wearing a dress from Target and carrying a briefcase that's seen better days. Because you drove up in a 5-year-old Honda. Because everything about you screams struggling. I looked down at my outfit. She wasn't wrong. The dress was from Target. The briefcase was old, a gift for my college graduation. And yes, my car was a 2019 Honda Civic. Appearances can be deceiving, I said. Oh, please, don't give me some inspirational poster quote. You're a loser, Ava. Always have been, always will be. And honestly, nobody wants you here. You're bringing down the mood. So why don't you just leave? The pavilion was silent. Everyone was watching, waiting for me to either fight back or slink away in humiliation. I did neither. Instead, I set my briefcase on the nearest table and opened it. You're right about something, Jennifer. I have been quiet about my career. I don't like to brag. I pulled out a folder. But since you've made such a public issue of it, I think it's time to clear a few things up. What are you doing? David asked, his voice nervous. I opened the folder and pulled out the first document. This is a press release that went out this morning. You might not have seen it yet. Morrison Technologies, the company where David works, has been acquired by Pinnacle Investment Group. So, Jennifer said, what does that have to do with anything? Pinnacle Investment Group is my company. I let that sink in. I founded it 7 years ago. We specialize in acquiring mid-sized tech companies, restructuring them, and improving efficiency. The silence was absolute. You're lying, Jennifer said, but her voice wavered. I pulled out another document. This is the acquisition contract signed yesterday. We paid $127 million for Morrison Technologies. The deal closed at 5 p.m. yesterday. David grabbed the paper, his hands shaking. His face went white as he read. That means, I continued, I now own the company where David works. Where several of you work, actually. I looked around. Uncle Richard, you're in sales there. Cousin Tom, you're in IT. Aunt Susan's husband Greg is in accounting. This is a joke, Jennifer insisted, but she was losing confidence. This is the corporate structure. I pulled out another page. I'm the majority shareholder and CEO of Pinnacle Investment Group. We have a portfolio of 17 companies with a combined value of $890 million. This acquisition brings it to just over $1 billion. I turned to David. I've been reviewing personnel files all week. You were promoted to VP 3 months ago. Congratulations. Unfortunately, the VP of sales position is redundant in our organizational structure. That role will be eliminated during the restructuring. You're firing me? David's voice cracked. Not firing, making your position redundant. You'll receive a generous severance package, 6 months' salary. Standard for executive-level restructuring. You can't do this, Jennifer shrieked. This is revenge. This is illegal. It's neither. It's business. Morrison Tech was losing money, bad management, bloated staff, poor strategic decisions. We're fixing that. Unfortunately, that means some positions won't survive the restructuring. I pulled out a list. These are the positions being eliminated. VP of Sales, 3 sales managers, 2 IT specialists, and 1 accounting supervisor. I looked at my family members. Uncle Richard, Tom, Greg, you're on this list. You'll each receive severance based on your tenure. Uncle Richard, who'd been laughing at me 20 minutes ago, now looked like he might be sick. Why are you doing this? David asked quietly. To hurt me? I'm doing this because Morrison Tech was a good investment opportunity. The acquisition had been in the works for 6 months, long before I decided to come to this reunion. I paused. Though I'll admit the timing worked out. This is because we weren't nice to you, Aunt Susan accused. You're punishing us for what? For ignoring me? For excluding me? For 5 years of making it clear I wasn't welcome unless I met your standards? I shook my head. No, I'm not that petty. This is business. You all just happened to work for a company that needed better management. But David's position, Jennifer started, is redundant. We already have a VP of sales at Pinnacle who'll oversee Morrison's sales division. David's role was created by the previous CEO to justify a salary increase. It doesn't actually contribute to the company's success. I pulled out another document. However, David, there is another option. We have an opening for a senior sales associate. It's not VP level. It's the position you had before your promotion. The salary is $95,000, about half of what you're making now. But it's a real job with real responsibilities. If you're interested, you can apply. Apply? David repeated. For my old job? It's not your job anymore, but you can apply for the equivalent position in the new structure. Whether you get it depends on your qualifications and interview. Jennifer's face was red with rage. You smug bitch. You think you're so superior? No, Jennifer. I don't think I'm superior. I think I'm successful. There's a difference. I started gathering my documents. I came here today to give you all the courtesy heads up. The official announcements go out Monday morning. I wanted to tell you in person, as family, before you heard it through company channels. Bullshit, Jennifer spat. You came here to humiliate us. I came here because I was invited to a family reunion. You're the one who chose to make a scene. I closed my briefcase. Everything I've done today is standard business practice. The restructuring would have happened whether I came to this reunion or not. I just thought it would be better coming from me first. You expect us to believe that? Uncle Richard stood up, his face flushed. You show up here, get insulted, and suddenly you're restructuring the company? That's not coincidence. You're right. It's not coincidence. The acquisition was planned for months. Me coming here today was planned for 1 week, after I knew the deal was closing but before the announcements went public. I looked at him directly. I came to give you time to prepare, to update your resumes, to line up new opportunities before the news breaks. That's more warning than Morrison Tech's previous owners gave anyone. How generous, he said sarcastically. It is, actually. I could have let you find out Monday morning with everyone else. I could have sent the termination notices by email. Instead, I came here in person to tell you face to face, because despite everything, you're still family. Some family, Aunt Susan muttered. Yes, some family. The family that excluded me from gatherings. That laughed when Jennifer called me a loser. That never once asked why I stopped coming around or if I was okay. I picked up my briefcase. I built a company worth $1 billion and none of you knew because none of you asked. You were too busy assuming I was a failure. We didn't know, David started. Because I didn't tell you. Because I was tired of trying to prove myself to people who'd already decided I wasn't worth their time. I stopped coming to reunions because every year was the same. Jennifer making snide comments, everyone comparing salaries and houses, nobody actually caring about each other. Just performance and judgment. I looked around at all of them. I'm successful now, very successful. But I was successful 5 years ago too, when I stopped coming. I just stopped caring whether you knew about it. Then why tell us now? Amanda asked. Because you deserve to know that your jobs are ending. Because despite everything, I didn't want you blindsided. I paused. And maybe a small part of me wanted you to know that the loser you all dismissed is now your boss. That's petty, Jennifer said. Probably. I'm human. I headed for the exit, then turned back. David, that senior sales position is a real offer. You're good at sales. You just got promoted beyond your competence level. If you want to apply, send your resume to HR Monday morning. I've instructed them to review it fairly. No favoritism, but no prejudice either. And if I don't get the job? Then you don't get it. Take the severance, find something else. You'll be fine. You're talented when you're doing actual work instead of playing VP. I started walking again. Ava, wait. It was my father's voice. He'd been silent through the entire confrontation, sitting at a back table. Is this really necessary? The acquisition? Yes. Morrison Tech needed new ownership. The restructuring. Also yes. The company was overstaffed with inflated salaries. These changes would happen regardless of who bought it. But you bought it. I did, because it was a good investment. Because I saw potential the previous owners missed. Because that's what I do. I find struggling companies and fix them. And it had nothing to do with David working there. I thought about lying, about maintaining the fiction that this was purely business. I didn't know David worked there when we started the acquisition process, I said honestly. We identified Morrison Tech as a target 8 months ago, based on financials and market position. I didn't review the employee roster until last month. When I saw David's name, I could have backed out. I could have assigned this acquisition to one of my partners. But I didn't. Why not? Because it was a good deal. Because my personal feelings don't override good business decisions. And maybe because I was curious what would happen if I actually showed up here with leverage instead of just trying to blend in. My father stood up and walked over to me. He looked older than I remembered, grayer, more tired. I'm sorry, he said quietly, for not standing up for you, for letting them make you feel unwelcome. You're my daughter and I should have done better. Something in my chest tightened. Yeah, you should have. Can we start over? Can I take you to lunch sometime? Just us. No Jennifer, no judgment. Just a father and his daughter talking. I studied his face, looking for sincerity. I found it mixed with regret and something that might have been shame. Maybe, I said. Call me next week. We'll see. I will. He paused. I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. Yes, you should have. I adjusted my briefcase. But thank you for saying it now. I left the reunion and drove back to my real life, my penthouse apartment, my corner office, my company that I'd built from nothing while my family dismissed me as a failure. Monday morning, the restructuring announcements went out. David, Uncle Richard, Tom, and Greg all received their termination notices. Jennifer called me 17 times. I didn't answer. David sent me his resume for the senior sales position. I forwarded it to HR with instructions to treat it like any other application. He interviewed, and they hired him. He really was good at sales when he wasn't trying to be an executive. Uncle Richard found a job at a competitor within 3 weeks. Tom went into consulting. Greg took early retirement. And Jennifer? She posted on Facebook about family betrayal and successful people who forget where they came from. I blocked her. My father did call. We had lunch. It was awkward but honest. He apologized again. I accepted, cautiously. We agreed to monthly dinners, just us, rebuilding something that had been broken for too long. Morrison Technologies, under Pinnacle's management, increased revenue by 34% in 6 months. The restructuring worked. The company was healthier, more efficient, and more profitable. I never went to another family reunion. But I did send cards, and this year, I included a photo of myself in my office with a caption, "Wishing you all a successful year. Ava." Because I wasn't a loser. I never had been. They'd just been too busy judging to notice.